Hey guys, TGKS Productions. This Red Dead Live video, I have an intro and beginner's guide for you guys regarding the Blood Money DLC, which released at the time that I'm recording this video, July 13th or Tuesday, July 13th. And this intro and beginner's guide as far as getting you set up with Guido Martelli and starting to earn capital. That way you can participate in the opportunities that this DLC has brought. Now, before going any further in this intro beginner guys video, as far as earning Capitale is concerned, which will eventually allow you to participate in the opportunities this DLC has brought, I am still learning at this point. This DLC is still very fresh when I am recording this video, so I don't necessarily know for sure what the best way to earn Capitale is. I may have to make a follow-up video with that, but I will share with you from sort of a beginner's perspective what I have learned so far on earning Capitale. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, what's nice about this DLC is I believe really any player, any level can participate in this, which is nice as far as my understanding is concerned. But the first step here is you have to go ahead and meet with Guido Martelli, sort of this like henchman or right-hand man of Angelo Bronte, and he is located down in Saint-Denis. In fact, the location that he's located at was where I predicted in the trailer breakdown that I created last week. But that is the first step in getting started on being able to get started with this Blood Money DLC and eventually earning Capitale. I also figured I'd mention this really isn't important. I even ended up forgetting about it. You do get a letter from Guido Martelli, which you can find in the document section of your satchel, and then letters. And you can read this if you want to. You don't have to. You can still go through the introduction. But it basically reads, "It is time we talk. I will see you and only you under the pagoda by the Theatre Releur, Hestia Street, Saint-Denis. This is an opportunity you will not want to pass. M." So that's just a letter by him. Again, you don't have to read this, but I just figured I'd add that in. So here we are in Saint-Denis. Let's finish the first step of this introduction and getting started to earning our blood money. So here we go. Let's meet Guido Martelli.
Thank you for agreeing to meet with me. Perhaps you have already guessed what I wish to discuss. The word Capitale does not mean anything to you? Huh. For some time now, the organization that I represent has been using a unique system of exchange for our more sensitive business dealings. This we call Capitale. Private bonds with their value guaranteed by the reputation and considerable resources of my employer. It's a more civilized way of doing things. Until every cutthroat and gutter trash got their filthy hands on them, it cannot be allowed to continue. The value of Capitale depends on a certain exclusivity. Understand? Come. I don't know how much you have heard of our ambitious new senator, Anton Ricard. He's an officious, naive man who has yet to learn how politics work. But his grand plans to make Le Moyne the star of the next year's state fair in Sacramento. He has also been making life very difficult for us.
Come on.
Excuse me for a moment.
Oh, forgive me, Signor. I thought we'd be meeting alone.
Who is this?
He was just arrested by one of my men in the old quarter. I thought you might be interested to see what they found in his possession.
How did you come by this? You stole it, yes?
No. Please, Senor Martelli.
Do not speak my name, porco!
I found it. I swear to you, I did.
On your knees.
I did. I found it. I did.
On your knees!
I swear to you. No, please.
Where did you steal it?
I promise you that I didn't steal.
I will ask you only one more time. Where did you steal it?
From some of the Cornwall's boys. Leviticus Cornwall.
Thank you, Chief. I trust this man will face the full penalty of the law.
Most assuredly, Signor.
Good. Proceed.
Was there, anything else?
No, I think that was enough, don't you?
Yes, sir.
So, to my proposition. You will find bills like that one as far from here as New Austin, if you know where to look. I need every piece of Capitale taken out of circulation and returned to me. I warn you, some of this work will require a strong constitution. In return, I will reward you with a unique business opportunity involving our friend, Senator Ricard. But that is for later. I wish to see the quality of your work before I reveal my hand. I'm sure you understand. Now, it is best we do not meet again. All further communication will be through my intermediaries. Some of them are friends of yours already. I believe Mr. Foreman, Mr. Langton. In any case, bring them enough Capitale to impress me, and I assure you it will be worth your while. Now, if you excuse me, buona caccia.
So upon meeting Guido Martelli, you pretty much completed the first step in the process of being able to earn your blood money. The second step is actually earning this Capitale. Now, Capitale can be earned really in three ways in Red Dead Online. One is through these crimes, which can be completed from 4 mission givers in Red Dead Online, which I'm going to touch on. You can also purchase Capitale with gold, and then there's even these random homesteads or camps in free mode that spawn, which you can also steal Capitale from. Now, also, you may notice up on the screen here, it mentions the hired gun kit you can purchase from the fence. I want to be clear, you do not have to purchase this in order to continue with, earning Capitale or stealing Capitale and then eventually getting into the opportunities. You don't need to purchase that. I will touch on it, but I want to be clear, you do not need to purchase it to continue with the process of earning your blood money. The most simple way you can earn Capitale, this is the first we're going to talk about, is simply purchasing it outright with gold bars. This is sort of the catch of the DLC because there's no upfront cost, but you can purchase Capitale with gold bars. Now, I am going to purchase the hired gun kit here, which actually can be found under tools. It's 5 gold bars. You get some certain items with it. I know one is an exclusive bandana, and you also get 10 Capitale documents, which can be beneficial to you because they aren't as easy to come by as you'll see or as we'll talk about. So I did decide to purchase the hired gun kit, but also and this is all at the fence. There's I believe there's around 3 fences in the game, one in Saint Denis, Emerald Ranch, and Thieves Landing. Apologize if I'm forgetting one. But also, if you go to documents, you can purchase 10 Capitale for 3 gold bars. And this is really the easiest way you can earn Capitale. Obviously, I don't necessarily recommend it, that you're just spending gold for Capitale. But yeah, you can outright just purchase gold or purchase Capitale with gold at any of the fences in Red Dead Online. On the topic of purchasing Capitale, I did want to say when I purchased the hired gun kit, I did end up having to collect my Capitale through my camp lockbox, which I thought was a little odd. I don't know why. However, when you purchase Capitale from the fence, I decided to test this out. You actually don't have to go to your camp lockbox, it appears. In fact, you can actually find how much Capitale you currently have in the valuable section of your satchel. You'll notice there I have 18. I ended up going over to the fence. If you go over to documents, again, you can purchase 10 Capitale for 3 gold bars. I did, and then I ended up going back in my valuable section. My document, I had 28 Capitale, so it doesn't look like you have to actually go to your camp lockbox if you purchase Capitale from the fence. And then you can get 65 Capitale currently from the first Quick Draw Outlaw Pass if you purchase that. Now, that Capitale is claimed through benefits if you end up unlocking those, which I believe is on rank 6 and then 23 are those 2 Capitale benefits. But yeah, I just sort of wanted to have some clarity there because that could be a little bit confusing. But let's go ahead and move on to the second way you can earn Capitale. The second and I would say, most popular way to earn Capitale is through these crimes from mission givers. Now, these mission givers, there's 4 of them currently in Red Dead Online. They are strangers that we've had in Red Dead Online really since the beginning. The first one here, we have Anthony Foreman. Now, Anthony Foreman spawns in Saint Denis and also a little bit west of Rhodes. We also have Joe, who Joe always spawns in the same location, so you can always find him right where I'm showing you. We also have Sean McGuire. Now, Sean McGuire, I know, spawns in a couple different locations. I know one of them is also a little bit, I want to say, northwest of Manzita Post, or even really within that area. So there's a couple different locations he can spawn, and then James Langton, where I believe he also spawns near Lake Don Julio. So a couple different locations for him as well. Really, Joe's the only one that spawns in the same spot all the times. But those are the 4 mission givers that give out crimes. So what I'm showing you here is all the crimes that these 4 mission givers can give out, and there's really 2 categories of crimes. There's the crimes you sort of see at the top here, which are like your traditional like stagecoach stick up or like a house clearing, like a homestead robbery. Then you have the ones that I've starred at the bottom, which says 1 of 3, and those are crime contacts. And we're supposed to get more in the future as drip feed content, but each mission giver gives out the same crime contacts. All 4 of the characters that we have are going to go out the same crime contacts. Now, essentially, with the regular crimes, it's only going to consist of 1 mission, whereas you see with the crime contacts, it says 1 of 3. You have to complete 3 missions, so it's going to take a little bit longer. I believe there's some timers in between them, but also you're going to earn much more cash and gold because each of these crimes pay out cash and gold when completing each mission. So you are going to earn much more cash and gold and XP. However, one thing to keep in mind here, and also before I even say this, you'll notice that after you look at crimes here with each category, you go over to opportunities. Now, the capital has to be earned in order to participate in the opportunities. There's 3 difficulties for an opportunity, and we currently have 1. There's 2 more to come. But standard difficulty, you have to have 15 Capitale for. Hard difficulty, you have to have leave 20 Capitale for, and then for ruthless difficulty, you have to have 25 Capitale for. And obviously, the harder the difficulty, the more, the bigger payout, the more cash and gold you can earn. One thing that needs to be made very clear about all these crime missions, particularly talk about the crime missions because we talk about earning Capitale in this video. You do not earn Capitale for completing the crime missions or the crime contacts. You do not earn any Capitale. You only earn cash and gold. The Capitale must be sought out on each crime mission. If you don't seek it out, you don't find any, you're just going to get paid cash and gold at the end of the mission. You have to seek out the Capitale in each of these missions. So let me give you an example of what I'm talking about here where you don't earn Capitale for completing these crime missions. At least not directly. So I'm completing this clearing house mission for Joe here, at least that's where I started it from, and it's saying steal these valuables. Now, one thing you want to keep in mind is the valuables are not Capitale. In fact, you could even be stealing Capitale in a mission. That could be what you're stealing and delivering it to one of Guido Martelli's associates, but you don't even get that Capitale. That's just the objective of the mission. Now, notice here I found this camp, or this lockbox, and I ended up getting Capitale out of that lockbox. Those are the type of things you want to look for in these missions because that's the only way you're going to earn Capitale. I actually ended up finding another one upstairs, and I believe Eagle Eye sort of helps me find these lock boxes, which is something you want to keep in mind. Typically, you want to look for those. I don't believe Capitale is really going to spawn inside of like cabinets or drawers. Typically, I want to say they're in those lock boxes. And also, apparently, you can loot them off of enemies. I haven't really had luck with that so far, but apparently, according to Rockstar, can. One thing you want to notice here is after I stole this Capitale, and then I ended up stealing the valuables and completing the mission, you'll notice that I just earned cash and gold. There was no Capitale earned. So essentially what I was talking about was if I wouldn't have found the Capitale in that house and I would have just stole the valuables and completed the mission, I wouldn't have gotten any Capitale. So it's something to really keep in mind with these missions because your objective really is to steal Capitale, but if you're not looking for it, you're not going to get it, even when completing the mission. This was actually another clearing house mission for Anthony Foreman, and I was able to find another lockbox using Eagle Eye, and there was also some Capitale in there I was able to steal. It was actually right near the valuables that I needed to steal, which was the actual objective of the mission. So again, you don't earn Capitale from completing the mission, you have to actually find it within the mission. Now with the crime contacts in comparison to just the regular crimes, there's 3 missions to take place. They are a little bit more story-based. There's a story to go along with them, which is really cool. And also, you earn much more cash and gold, and I'd probably say even XP with completing them. Specifically on even the 3rd mission, I earned around like $90 each time I completed the 3rd mission. Now, I don't know if that's just a one-time bonus because I only completed every single contact so far one time, the time recording at least in this video, at least the full way through with all 3 missions with each contact. But you definitely do earn, I'd say, much more cash and gold with these, crime contact missions. But again, you also need to seek out Capitale, which is something I didn't realize at first. Originally, I thought just completing these missions, you get paid Capitale, but that's not really the case. You still, just like the regular crime missions, with these crime contacts, you still need to seek out the Capitale. Now, something I do want to make note of, when I was doing the railroad contact, I had to capture the railroad director. When I ended up looting him, I actually got 3 Capitale off of him. Now, I do remember in the start of like a lot of these crime missions, even the crime contact missions, it'll say something like, you can obviously loot your enemies, but usually it almost says like usually enemies of importance usually will have a better chance of having Capitale on them. Now, one thing I'm curious about is every time we end up looting this railroad director on this mission, are we going to get Capitale all the time? There's a reason why I'm saying this. Now, going back to just the regular crime missions, specifically the one you can get only from Sean McGuire, the wrongful property one, you'll notice that by these valuables here, there ended up being a lockbox with some Capitale in it, or 1 Capitale in it. What's interesting is I ended up doing this mission again later, the same one. It was the same location, and I ended up finding Capitale in the exact same spot. And I know it's hard to be able to tell because I didn't really pinpoint it on the map, but this is the same spot. And what this makes me wonder is when you start getting these same locations again, is Capitale going to spawn in the same spot? Because if that's the case, then obviously this is going to make it a lot easier to be able to find. So when you're going through these missions, you may want to keep that in mind, because if you're finding Capitale and you end up getting that location again, you may end up finding Capitale in the same location. Again, it's still early to tell because this DLC just released when I'm making this video, but that is something to keep in mind. So third and final way you can earn Capitale with this new DLC is by robbing homesteads. And I was trying to get one to trigger here, and I ended up being successful. I was just trying to go around and try to remember where there was like abandoned houses or, just empty buildings around Red Dead. And I ended up getting this icon to spawn that said Outlaw on it. And I'm assuming eventually the Red Dead Online Gene rope map, not the one that has all the collectibles for the collector role, but another one that has a bunch of different like free mode activities that spawn. I'm assuming eventually they'll document where all these homesteads can spawn. I'm even going to link that in the description, because by the time you may be watching it, they may already have documented where all these homesteads can spawn, possibly the times of them as well. But essentially I came over to this homestead, and there were a number of NPCs or enemies spawned outside around this camp, even inside the homestead. And essentially the whole point is I was trying to find a note leading me to valuables, and I believe I went about it stealth for a little bit. I ended up getting in this huge melee fight with all these NPCs. I think most of them just fought me with their fists. I think one had a machete, but it wasn't too hard to take these guys out. I believe the law eventually even got involved. They really didn't get in a shootout with them, but eventually I did find the note that was left for the person's wife. At least that's what it said, and he was basically heading to Blackwater to store their valuables in a safety deposit box. And essentially I just go track him down. Now, upon finding the proper note, I got this huge search area on this sort of route here, and I did see a corpse there inside the search area. I figured that was probably sort of a clue to try to help me figure out where to go, so I pinpointed that corpse and headed over there. And once I did reach the NPC, the valuables were located there. I ended up looting him. I got 2 Capitale, which was nice. Hopefully in most, if not all, these homestead robberies, you do earn Capitale. Definitely can help you towards being able to complete the opportunities or participate in the opportunities. And also, when I was escaping here to deliver the valuables, I ended up getting attacked by all these cougars, which just thought was really interesting. Probably part of the mission. But after that, delivered the valuables successfully and completed the homestead robbery. And upon completing the homestead robbery, I did get a nice chunk of gold and cash. Got 0.32 gold, $21.31. XP wasn't great, but nonetheless, I did spend a decent amount of time this homestead robbery from traveling, so I'm assuming that had something to do with it. I believe even the crime missions and even the crime contact missions have a little bit to do with time as far as how much you're paid, but most importantly, it's based off of capital found. All in all, guys, this DLC does seem to be a bit of a grind trying to earn this Capitale to be able to participate in these opportunities, but I'll definitely have more videos regarding this DLC, especially discussing the new opportunities that we have with this DLC. But I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found this intro beginner's guide extremely beneficial. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, share this video. Be sure to comment if you have any questions, and as always, have a great day.